Everything about John was extra, extra large.
You're the one that we're depending on. Swing that hammer with...
John Henry, an American boss, born with
20-pound hammer right in his hand.
I heard John's mama liked to sew at night, so he pulled down the moon for a little bit of light.
Took a lot of cooking to keep John fed. 10 dozen eggs and 8 loaves of bread.
John Henry, John Henry, John Henry is a mighty boy. I've got a better way, a challenge. If I can best this here machine, the land you promised is ours.
There's a place up ahead and I'm going just as fast as my...
John Henry was an American folk legend. Unfortunately, he didn't exist, so he's at number 20. But he raced a train and won.
and then died.
He was still a beast.
Ah, the ocean. How serene.
Until George Dewey came.
George Dewey was basically a naval god. He took control of the entire U.S. Navy that was stationed in the Pacific on January 3rd, 1898. He was commanded to take Manila Bay on the 1st of May later that year.
Because Manila Bay was thought to be unnavigable at night, the Spanish were unsuspecting of the American attack. Dewey took Manila Bay in roughly 6 hours, suffering only a handful of casualties.
Surrender came at the sight of his salty mustache, glistening in the breeze.
George Dewey dominated the Philippines, the same way Mr. Kern dominates the Social Studies department.
The U.S. honored his service by naming a medal after him. Where's your medal, Mr. Kern?
But there are cooler things on this earth.
Like being able to snipe a dime from 90 feet away in the air.
Her top-shelf snipe show abilities were featured in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where Chief Sitting Bull dubbed her Little Sure Shot.
She could hit a playing card 5 times before it hit the ground when dropped from 5 feet.
Annie didn't like cancer. When she caught her husband smoking, she shot the cigarette right out of his mouth. Annie Oakley broke barriers for women everywhere, as well as anything within range of her itchy trigger finger.
He was born and raised in these Brooklyn streets, a man who, more than any other, came to symbolize a new American breed, the gangsters. He believed in the promised land.
Al Capone was born in Brooklyn in 1899. Some thought he was a charitable person, but his laundry list of crimes begs to differ. At age 14, he was expelled from school for hitting a woman teacher in the face. He received the nickname Scarface for mob wounds he received in Chicago. He was involved in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, which ended several rival gang members' lives. Capone was sent to Alcatraz for tax evasion, and upon his release he faced many assassination attempts. For protection, he pimped his ride with bulletproof glass and run-flat tires. FDR would later use this car as his personal limousine.
Anne Bonny's pirate escapades began when she stabbed her maid in the gut with a steak knife at the tender age of 14. She then proceeded to live a life of villainy, plundering and stealing, and getting knocked up by the famous pirate Calico Jack. When her ship was finally captured, she was sentenced to death. However, since she was pregnant, she was soon released. Upon leaving the jail, Bonny stopped by Calico Jack's cell, spat in his face, and called him a dirty coward, to say so in the cleanest way. Anne Bonny was never heard from again. She completely disappeared from history.
But not from our hearts.
We love you, Bonny. At the tender age of 13, while most of us were still in diapers, Crazy Horse was stealing horses. Later on in his life, he led several massacres of the white settlers, including the Fetterman Massacre and, of course, the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Crazy Horse led the most successful Indian rebel force. They were the last to surrender to the United States. On another note, he was once shot in the face, and he has a sweet scar to prove it.
Also, check out this sick monument they're building of Crazy Horse.
You guys may have heard of the Civil War. Vital to the Union victory was William Tecumseh Sherman. After graduating sixth in his class at West Point, Sherman went on to lead the Union Army to countless victories. In his famous March to Sea, Sherman rampaged through the South, finishing by giving the President and the Union Savannah as a birthday gift.
He retired a war hero and refused to engage in politics. All he wanted to do was to fight for freedom and light stuff on fire.
Ronald Reagan was born in 1911 in Illinois. At Eureka College, he acted and played football, and in 1937 he won a Hollywood contract, which allowed him to appear in 53 Hollywood films. His conservative beliefs led him to the presidency in 1980.
69 days into office, he was shot, but bullets couldn't stop old Ronnie Boy. He later secured U.S. safety through negotiations with the Soviet leader Gorbachev.
Reagan died with Alzheimer's because he was one of the all-time biggest beasts in U.S. history.
Are you nearsighted or farsighted? Both. That's why I invented the bifocal.
Promiscuous, formal, handsome, clever, witty, fun. These are just a few of the words used to describe Benjamin Franklin. His list of accomplishments is longer than his hair, but trust me, he did it all. He wrote an almanac, invented bifocals, held the Albany Conference, wrote the first cartoon ever to be shown in a U.S. paper, and, as I hear, was a big hit with the French biddies. Oh yeah. What's up, ladies? What a man.
Benjamin Franklin contracted gonorrhea because he was never gone a really long time from the ladies. According to Michelle Huey, the most attractive founding father was definitely Sam Adams. A Boston-bred Harvard grad, he quickly rose as a predominant political figure.
His intolerance of British taxation without representation was expressed in his circular letter, which led to British occupants of Boston. He was a member of the Sons of Liberty and eventually signed the Declaration of Independence.
Thirsty for more? When you hit your Big 21, stop by Talbert's on River Road, and you can enjoy a six-pack of our ice-cold Founding Father.
When it comes to the enigma known as John Smith, we're not 100% sure what is real and what is fake. But even so, he definitely single-handedly saved Jamestown. Before saving England's Fanny, Smith was fighting with Austrian forces against the Turks and was captured and enslaved. Smith's master gave him to his girlfriend, who immediately fell in love with John, but he wasn't having any of it, so he killed her brother and escaped.
He also named and mapped the New England area.
So basically, if it wasn't for John Smith, we wouldn't have the New England Patriots or Tom Brady.